about 45 statute miles east-northeast of Hana at about 9 o'clock this morning. So again, uncomfortably close to a hurricane that's passing by just to the north. Luckily, the south side, at least in the direction of motion, with Douglas moving toward the west-northwest at 16 miles per hour, that puts us on the weaker side of the system. So most of the hurricane force winds that we can see from reconnaissance and also from radar are on the west and north and northeast side of the circulation. So we are hoping that we will continue to see a west-northwest motion. We are just too dangerously close to the center of a hurricane, and so we are keeping a hurricane warning up for Kauai County, Oahu, and Maui County. Tropical storm warning remains in effect at this point for Hawaii County, the Big Island, and we also have a tropical storm warning now that extends from the Papahanaumokuakea Marine National Monument from Nihoa to French Frigate Shoals, and also out to Morrow Reef. So that's out over the northwest Hawaiian Islands. We do expect that Douglas is going to continue to move on a west-northwest track over the next couple of days, but that track is going to come very close to the islands. And our forecast track, while it may look like a straight line, we put a forecast point at 12 hours and we put a forecast point at 24 hours. That does not preclude the idea that we could have some wobbles or some adjustments to the motion. We know that hurricanes, as they move along, they don't move in a straight line. They tend to zigzag a little bit. And so we are very concerned that one of those little zags, if it were to occur close to one of the islands, could bring drastically worse weather as it moves across. So again, that is why we have the hurricane warning in effect. That said, even if it follows the projected path, we will still be on the periphery of some pretty nasty weather. So we're keeping an eye on that as we go through the day. Do expect that some gradual weakening will proceed with Douglas as it encounters a little bit stronger wind shear now as it's getting closer to the western end of the island chain. The wind shear is a little bit stronger, and so we would expect to see gradual weakening, but the sea surface temperatures are still plenty warm to support a hurricane system on its point of closest approach to each island. The timing really is not any different at this point. Maui County will probably see the peak of the worst conditions that we're going to see on Maui over the next few hours before Douglas starts to gain a little more latitude and move away from Maui County. Again, Oahu still looks to be in the zone to receive tropical storm conditions. Those would probably occur starting mid to late afternoon and then on into the evening. And then Kauai will be a little bit later, and they could see the worst of the conditions after dark this evening on into the night. So again, we're watching radar really carefully at this point. We really don't want to see any leftward jog to the eye, but if we do, again, that could bring drastically worse weather to the islands than what we're getting right now. So it's something that we're watching really carefully, and we hope that you guys will stay tuned as you're sheltering this afternoon. Again, we always talk about the hurricane being a triple threat. And so not only do we need to consider ourselves with the possibility for wind damage, and remember that those winds will be accelerated by terrain. So if you're near the mountains or around the mountains, you can see much stronger wind gusts in those areas. The other threats, of course, are the combination of very high surf on east-facing shores, 15 to 25 feet, along with a storm surge of, say, 2 to 3 feet, adding to the water level rise on east-facing shores. So you need to be paying attention if you live close to the shoreline. You need to think about the possibility of whether you might want to move inland in order to shelter for the storm. Finally, we do expect some heavy rainfall with Douglas. It's moving, again, fairly quickly, so not quite the catastrophic rainfall event that we saw from Hurricane Lane a couple of years ago. But that said, 5 to 10 inches of rain, localized amounts maybe up to 15 in the mountains, and all of that falling in a short amount of time can really cause a lot of problems, cause destructive, life-threatening flash flooding that might lead to water rescues if it materializes. Hurricanes bring a tremendous amount of moisture with them, and so you need to keep that in mind, that you can get sudden thunderstorm development anytime around a tropical cyclone. A lot of the tropical systems that affect the islands come in as a weakening type system. Well, Douglas is weakening as well, but I mean like a tropical depression or the remnants of a tropical depression. We know that those bring tremendous amounts of rainfall, and in fact, it's not uncommon. Sometimes you see greater amounts of rain in the weaker systems than you do in the stronger systems that tend to be moving right along. The weaker systems are more tend to be slower movers. But so in this case with Douglas, it's not going to be a major catastrophic rainfall event, even if it were to come in directly. But still, that's where we're talking about 5 to 10 inches, possibility of 15 in the mountains. That's not incredible rainfall for Hawaii, but it's still enough to be significant and life-threatening if we get the rain in a short amount of time. And so we're really paying attention to that as Douglas goes by to the north of the islands.